Next population interaction is commensalism. Commensalism is a type of interaction in which two individuals of two species they interact in such a way that one species is benefited and the other remains unaffected. That is, neither benefited nor harmed. Interaction between individuals of two species in which one species is benefited and other remains unaffected, that is neither benefited nor harmed, such interaction is called commensalism. The species which derives benefit is called commensal, and the species which remains unaffected is called host. Commensal, it generally gets food from the host or sometimes shelter, protection, or a free ride, etc. And the host, it remains unaffected. The various examples of commensalism, they are: number 1, ant amoeba histolytica, which lives in the large intestine of human beings. Ant amoeba histolytica living in the large intestine of human beings. This shows an example of commensalism. Another example is pilotfish and shark. Pilotfish, it swims together with the shark. It accompanies the shark and takes the pieces of food that break off as the shark tears apart its prey. यानी शार्क जब शिकार करती है तो उस शिकार को when it pieces apart, उसके छोटे छोटे टुकड़े करती है, तो many small pieces which are left in the surroundings, they are eaten up by the pilot fish. Another example is branchial and whale. The branchials, they live attached to the whale's body and use it as the space. Whale को इसके साथ attached रहते हैं and use the whale body as the space or shelter. Another example is birds and trees. Birds, they live on the trees and they rest and nest on the trees, whereas the trees, they remain unaffected. They are neither benefited nor harmed. Another example is epiphyte. Epiphytes, they are small, nutritionally independent plants. यानी वो न्यूट्रिशन के लिए अपना न्यूट्रिशन, अपना फूड खुद बना लेते हैं, दूसरे प्लांट्स पे डिपेंड नहीं करते, बट दे लिव, दे सर्वाइव, दे रिमेन अटैच्ड on the large plants in tropical rain forest and utilize the space only. Epiphytes, they are small green plants which can make their own food, but in tropical rain forest they grow on some larger trees, but they do not harm them. They just utilize the space of the large trees. Then these are called epiphytes. Example of some epiphytes are algae, ferns, and many orchids. Some of the algae, ferns, and many orchids, they live as epiphytes. मतलब अपना खाना बना लेते हैं, but they grow on some large plants. These They grow on some large plants. Now, another example is some bacteria and human skin. Many bacteria which live on our skin. Example is staphylococcus. For example, staphylococcus, they live on our skin. They get, for what purpose? They get a habitat, that is a place to live, and the food, but they do not harm the skin. Another example is cattle egret and grazing cattle. Grazing cattle, when it moves, it stir up and flush out various insects from the vegetation, and these insects, they are eaten up by the cattle egret. These insects, they are normally hard to find by the egret. Egret is a bird which forages close to where the cattle are grazing, because when the cattle moves, they stir up and flush out insects from the vegetation, and egrets, they are able to find these insects and they eat upon them. Another example is interaction between sea anemone and the clownfish. Sea anemone and the clownfish. The clownfish, it lives in between the stinging tentacles of sea anemone and gets protection from the predator. They get protection from the predator. Sea anemone, the tentacles, the stinging tentacles, and the fish, it resides in between these tentacles, and in this way it is able to get protection from the predators. This is all about commensalism.